Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Business Week. In this edition, we're going to be looking at managerial negligence and the repercussions that can occur from it. We'll be looking at CMC Jewelry Company, a company based in Pune, India, and the repercussions that occurred when there was managerial negligence. CMC Jewelers is a British-owned company that has a manufacturing subsidiary in Pune, India, and have come under scrutiny recently because of reports from local Indian media that staff are being mistreated by the management as they, the management, are only concerned with production, fulfilling their orders and increasing their sales margin. CMC Jewelry is a company that polishes and grinds precious stones, as well as make other parts needed for jewelry that include glass that have to be heated to high temperatures and shaped for use in jewelry production. They also make some of the finished jewelry by hand, which is a delicately long process. Staff had informed the production manager of worries raised that due to changing weather conditions, a tsunami could be on its way. This was hastily dismissed by the manager, who later on, at the close of the day, did not go through procedure and instead skipped the set routine. This meant that the machine was overlooked as it was not turned off. This then led to it being overheated and therefore becoming a danger. The tsunami did occur and the aftermath was flooding, and the premises of CMC Jewelry was affected. This meant that water went into the building and the machine that was left on came into contact with water. The combination of water and electricity caused havoc and led to fire breaking out. Staff and managers worked hard to bring the fire under control, but because of the presence of water and the combination with electricity, some of them had electric shock. This further incensed the workers. In the past, we have seen scenarios of the same type, one of which is the well-known case of Japanese tsunami and the Fukushima nuclear disaster. On the 11th of March 2011, an earthquake took place which then resulted in a tsunami. The tsunami affected Fukushima, which lies north of Tokyo City. The nuclear plant lay in the path of the tsunami, and as such, it got flooded. Immediately after the earthquake, reactors 1, 2, and 3 went into shutdown mode. The remaining reactors 5 and 6 were in cold shutdown as they were being prepped for planned maintenance. Reactor 4 had no fuel as it was supposed to be cleaned later on. The rooms on the ground floor, which was where the generators were located, was flooded. The generators as such could not function, and therefore the power supply to the critical pumps was not available. This also meant that with the pumps not functioning, coolant water, which is supposed to circulate and cool the nuclear reactor for up to several days at a time, was not available. The reactors overheated because of the high heat that was being produced. The suggestion that salt water could be used to help cool down the reactor was deemed dangerous, but the Japanese government then ordered the use of salt water to cool the reactor, but the water had already reached high temperatures. This eventually led to an explosion which devastated the plant as well as surrounding areas. There were some reported injuries later on. Another such example is that of the Bangladeshi Tazin factory. The danger of such an occurrence had been pointed out to the management previously by inspection authorities, but was ignored, and the proof was that when a fire occurred, workers trapped in the building as well as whole 9 floors got gutted by fire. According to the BBC, the owner of the factory could not avoid the responsibility of what happened. 9 mid-level officials were accused from preventing workers from leaving the building. The oil company ConocoPhillips is also another example, an American-based company which had a devastating oil spill in China, which they were negligent about. According to Bloomberg, the management firstly tried to cover up the extent of the spill, but later on could not defend their action. So now let's go over to Hassan and find out what the situation in Pune is. Hassan, would you be able to enlighten us about the situation going on right now in Pune?
As you clearly stated, Tanya, so this is the glowing scene we're seeing here in India. For what the scientists have said is the worst disaster to ever happen in India in the last 50 years. Here in Pune, the situation is very bad as well. The tsunami has destroyed almost everything, and it has also disrupted economic activity. So no one actually is going to work here. People are taking shelters in their home, or at least what remains of it, and businesses are actually slowly getting.
Okay, Hassan, what's the situation now with CMC Jewelry in Pune?
Back into business. The situation now with CMC Jewelry, the UK-based firm, is that today it has been in public eyes because of its risk management performance, which were very bad. And today, new information have come out to suggest that indeed local employees the managers, Mr. Olu Johnson, of the likelihood of there being a tsunami, but witness also suggests that he did not take the threats into consideration. As a result, the oil company went into floods, causing great amounts of damages and risk, losses in terms of factory equipment, naming machineries and computers. On top of that, it seems unbelievably that CMC has orders its workers to come back to work. Since last week, only a few days after the tsunami, I have an official report with me saying that at least 5 employees have been affected due to contamination because of the lack of hygiene and a lack of equipment decontamination.
Mr. Shahrukh Khan from the Pani Hospital states that these 5 employees who have been injured will soon get out of hospital. They are only staying over for some additional checks.
I have personally spoken to Olu a couple of minutes ago, and to see how he intends to reassure the public and to ensure that this crisis is handled as quick as possible. So this is what he had to say. I've got a couple of questions for you today. I think our audience would like to know what steps is the TMC jury taking in order to ensure that its employees get the best health and safety measures, and secondly, what do the company put in place in order to prevent such occurrence?
Yeah, at the moment, the 5 employees have been taken to one of the best hospitals in town. We're going to make sure they have the best health care, and that's all we can do for now.
All right, okay. So obviously, I know there's I mean, I've had reports that there has been some flaws in the risk management scenarios. I mean, what you guys actually did when the flood happened. Is it true that some locals actually advised you that the flood was going to happen, and you deliberately ignored them? So this is, I think, an issue that's been coming up, and I would like to know if it's what you have to say on that.
Yeah, the issue is nothing to do with us, because this is tsunami. It can happen anytime. You can actually predict what's gonna be very uncomfortable with the issue.
So what you're saying is actually you don't take the full responsibility of what's going on there?
No, I don't.
You don't? All right, okay.
Because this natural disaster, it can happen anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. But I mean, okay, well, then what are you doing to make sure your reputation is always stays intact?
Yeah, we make sure the business is back to normal ASAP. We're doing our best to buy any equipment. We've ordered so many computers. As soon as possible, everything will be back to normal.
All right. Do you believe that this incident could have been tackled differently? No?
No.
Okay. Now that you actually know what happened in terms of the floods, the management had in terms of safety and security for the employees, because this issue has gone beyond the company in a sense, because now there have been debates on public television actually suggesting that the managers, including you, were the reason why these people were in these kind of conditions, because what happened was that you told them to come back into working to work, rather than actually clean the place before telling them to come in.
We do clean the place, but I think we didn't clean properly, and we didn't sanitize the whole building. I think that's the main issue, the main problem.
So in a sense, you take responsibility towards that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because we need to sanitize everywhere before people coming back to work. So there's a great mistake for the company.
All right. that was all for me, Hassan, and thank you very much for being our guest today.
With me here now, I have Halima Khatun from HSC, who is a disaster recovery analyst, and she's worked with companies both here in the UK and overseas. Can you explain to us a bit about what is going on with CMC jewelleries and how they can recover from such a disaster?
Well, firstly, let me just say what happened to CMC is unfortunate, and it could have happened to many other people, many other businesses. Sometimes negligence does lead to catastrophes, as we've seen in the past. However, this is not all at all and the end for CMC. There are a number of things that they can do. There's two things, for example, they must do right now. Firstly, they must perform a risk assessment and business impact analysis. This must be done either by the site manager or the production manager with the goal of evaluating what actually the damage is from the flood and the tsunami.
Okay, what would you say is the damage so far that has occurred within CMC jewelleries?
Well, we do know from the reports that we've had that their premises and machinery has been contaminated and destroyed. Computers has also been damaged, which resulted in loss of order information. Staff has fallen ill. As a result of this, CMC is unable to meet order obligation, and their reputation is online as well due to the bad press that we've received in UK so far.
Okay. What other options does CMC have to recover from this whole tsunami causing the disaster that has occurred?
Well, they need to establish a recovery time and point objective. From my previous experiences of dealing with similar situation and similar crises, I would say that this is likely to take about approximately 5 to 7 days to be done. CMC is fortunate that they have another manufacturing site in nearby city of Punjab. They need to basically transfer all their production there so that their orders can be met as planned before and it's not been delayed anymore. The entire manufacturing site must be closed down for deep cleaning, which will take around 48 hours, 24 hours for cleaning and further 24 hours for inspecting and drying. But firstly, I would recommend that they get all their staff treated at hospital as a matter of urgency.
Okay. You mentioned this deep cleaning process. What does it involve and who is involved in the whole process?
Well, this deep cleaning must be done by experts who deals with contamination of microorganisms. It is likely to take, as I said, about 24 hours for the cleaning process. This will involve removing of all flood contaminated parts of the machineries and cleaning all parts of it with HEPA filtered vacuum cleaner to remove dirt, debris and microorganisms. Then everything that comes to contact with flood water must be disinfected using appropriate solutions. Everything then must be rinsed through with high pressure washer. And then they can reinstall the machineries after that. But before the site is occupied, I would strongly recommend that they have everything checked thoroughly by a qualified professional for any remain signs of microorganisms. And then they need to re-cable all the electric cables because this was damaged as well, which is likely to take around 24 hours. And then they should assess the damage to their existing equipment, if necessary, replace as and where applicable. Absolutely, they must clear the bad reputation, otherwise this could cause them much more damage than the tsunami it has done itself. What I will also advise the director at CMC do is basically they must make sure that they have future risk assessment and recovery plan in place to notice risk in advance and deal with crises. They must make sure they are prepared by displaying a physical risk analysis recovery plan on site, conduct staff training, purchase and maintain emergency equipment, backup computer system using sort of like cloud storage perhaps.
That's good.
And then elevate important documents and store them, store duplicates off-site so that it doesn't get damaged from flooding or fire or anything like that, and install permanent flood proofing as well. And should any risk develop into a crisis, they must be able to respond to it by taking notice of local knowledge and warnings, removing content such as computers, jewelleries and other stocks, and redirecting all communication to nearby site or to the headquarter. Furthermore, they can turn off power supply straight away and seal wall and floor vents and secure entire building and evacuate.
Okay. Thank you very much, Halima from the HSC, for coming in today and chatting to us.
Thank you for having me.